Ladies and gentlemen, the warmest of welcomes. Delighted to have your company. We are live here at the event at Terra Nova for 2022. You join us at the start of the 3-star short. It is sponsored by B&D Builders. For the second running, we're here 20 miles inland of Sarasota. And our trailblazer is on course. Runner Zabala Gertschel launches us into action. London Olympian. And this is his very nice Pat's Jester. First out on Captain Mark Phillips and Mogi Beard and Muller's cross-country courses. Mogi assisted by Mark for the 3, 2 and 1 stars. And Mark in sole command, as you would well expect of the feature class, the 4-star short, which will follow this opening 3-star short Gambit. 21 combinations it is. And this is the first combination out on Beard and Muller's cross-country course. The double brush, a triple brush, a 6AB. The dressage led by none other than Leslie Law, and Leslie, former Olympic champion, was clear in the show jumping. That was yesterday here. Beautiful Saturday afternoon it was. There were only 5 clears of the 21 who started into William Robertson's stadium jumping test. Ron Zabala Gertsch, a little flick of his eyes to the left side where Pat's Jester will tackle the out of the first water. That is the lifeguard hut combination, 8A and B. And then across one of the numerous sand arenas here at Terra Nova down. Quite a cautious approach into this big enough little house out of the sand surface. That is a Terra Nova barn at 9. Position after the show jumping. Leslie Law in front with that clear. He maintained his lead. Castle Howard Romeo out in pole position, 29.8. In second for the USA, Bethany Hutchins Kristen, 30.7 with Gallup HVF. And in third place, talked to Jonathan Holling this morning. In good form, it's a very nice horse, Juxta My Star Less is in third for John, 31 penalties. Our top 3. Ron Zabala Gertsch through the third combination. That was a Mims table to corner at 11AB. 4 strides on a little shallow left-handed turn. Now this is quite big. Deceptive on your screen. It's very narrow in terms of its front face, but it's quite wide. Mims clipped, as are most of the fences out on Mark and Mogi's courses here at Terra Nova. This horse produced by the world number 1. Great to have Tim Price on top of the world, of course. A big battle between him and Oliver Townend at the sharpest levels in world eventing. But Tim in superb form. He won Buccalo with Happy Boy and then claimed the second running of the Maryland 5-star. Boyd Martin was the inaugural champion last year. And then Tim Price struck with a horse that I think is set for huge things coming towards Paris 2024. Coup de Coeur du Devin looked immaculate. Ron Zabala Gertsch down to this corner angle brush question. A little choice there. He could go on 3 strides on a straight line, or a little curve is also possible on 4 strides. Wise Guy Farm, his base up in Pennsylvania, locally to Bruce Davidson, up near the beautiful Plantation Field competition. And this is the second starter. Dana Cook is on course. The Canadian who returns from the very first World Champ she's been part of in Pratoni. It was a good completion with Mississippi. Dana Cook, this lovely coloured Harlequin. Good start for her through the first combination. Harlequin had a couple down in the show jumping. It was an influential second phase, tied in 12th position. Alongside Lisa Wallace, who will be on course in a moment with Sharp Decision. Dana Cook under the shades, the Canadian, beautifully through the first of the 2 waters, the lifeguard hut double at 8A and B. This horse Harlequin, I love his tail carriage. That is an indicator of just how relaxed he is across his back. You don't want it clamped down, you want it nice and just coming out of his basal spinal vertebrae, bottom of his lumbar spine into his tail. Just shows the freedom across the back. Pat's Jester at the final water. Lovely ride from Ronald Zabala Gertschel. He gets away well. That is the cabin on the mound and the cabin in the H2O at 21 AB. Remember, the speed required here is strong enough at 550 meters per minute. We are just up over 3 kilometers. 3,165 meters is the distance of Mogi Beard and Muller's course for the 3-star, and the time allowed is 5 minutes and 46 seconds. Now this is the alligator pond. We saw a 6-foot baby in here on our initial course inspection back on Thursday morning. Dana Cook now just hacking out with Harlequin. Nice hand canter, hand gallop it would be, but it's not certainly max speed. It's sort of 3.5 gears in. Sadly, Dana Cook is into trouble mid part of the cross country. That will be at the brush corner to shoulder brush at 15 AB. Likely signs of a 20 for the first of the 5 for Canada. 5 nations coming, 13 for the USA, Ecuador on course, and Mexico and Great Britain in the shape of none other than the Olympic champion of 04, Leslie Law. Lisa Wallace comes again gingerly down to the mound brush at 7. Lisa Wallace just glides through the water, a little left-handed curve beautifully through the lifeguard hut double at 8 A and B. Now this little short arena crossing to tackle the Terra Nova barn. It does need respect, certainly. It's about a 2-meter face for the 3-star. It's more like 1.5 meter on the left-hand side for the 4-star to come. Lisa Wallace out over the Bridge Oxer at 12. Left side of the central viaduct. It's a nice flow fence, that one, but again, the riders have just got to be quick enough to pick it out in a wall of white oxers. And the viaduct in the middle, which is not part of the international classes here at Terra Nova for 2022. And if you are just joining us, it's wonderful to have you with us. Welcome to Terra Nova. This, the second event at Terra Nova. Dana Cook just goes back behind the alligator pond, as I've dubbed it for reasons explained. Just a couple left for the Canadian out on the course. This is the step table at 24, the penultimate. And Harlequin's going to come home. Good to see the horse, despite the problem mid-course. Finishing is Brick, looking good for the trip around Mogi Beard and Muller's cross country. Lisa Wallace turns beautifully into 17. That was the wagon. Now this is an important combination. The Mims Gate to triple brush at 18 A and B. This is an old-fashioned vertical on the first mound. There's a little gully between up to the second mound where the triple brush, the accuracy fence, lies awaiting. Well, super sight of Samantha Tinney, a young American, coming down to 10. This, the Mimox, It's the far reach of the course here at Terra Nova. They'll then turn back to this. Mims able to corner, 4 strides, a little shallow left-handed curve here. It's a big table in. I think actually goes on 3. Glenbrook Cooley is really purring. He had a little contretemps in the show jumping yesterday for 3 fences down, 12 jumping penalties. They sadly added. They lay in 9th place after the first phase with a 34.2 dressage. Comes cross country on 46.2. Samantha Tinney looking in really positive fashion here as she chases down to this Trakehner at 13. Both 3-star and 4-star take a little left-handed fork away. The 2-star and the 1-star intro to come later. They'll go right-handed here. Down to the IOA, the Insurance of America. Trakehner. Beautiful scenes here. Terra Nova is a wonderful facility. Glenbrook Cooley is as straight as a die. Beautiful ride from Samantha Tinney as they rip through the brush corner to shoulder brush at 15 AB. This horse is bullet straight. And I must say I'm getting quite an adrenaline rush vicariously here watching this pair out on the course now. Just a lovely float, just keeps on rolling, trusts him. And that is not particularly wide. That table at 16 is on the left-hand side of the 4-star, which is wider. And then a little left-handed turn to 17. They will come down to this 2-part combination. It's a vertical first mount, then a drop into the gully, little right-hander into this skinny brush. They're all Mims clipped out here. That is to avoid the rotation, the dangerous rotational fall. That is why there's a collapsible top bar. Mims was a system developed in Sweden about 12 or so years ago, and the frangible bin is a solid, but again, little interruption in it, that if there's enough force downwards is the best application of the frangible or reverse spin. Again, the potential pivot point will crash to the ground and avoid the rotation. The safety aspects of our sport are numerous, and of course continually on an eventer's mind to develop the safety aspects of what is of course a dangerous sport potentially. Samantha Tinney gives this horse a beautifully smooth ride down through the water. Glenbrook Cooley, little left-handed curve, comes up smoothly. That is 21 AB, the cabin on mound, a cabin in the water, second of the water complexes. And then sees a great forward shot down to the ditch and brush at 22. This is the round of the morning, absolutely no question. Glenbrook Cooley still is pricked, is in a lovely languid gallop. Down to the table, oh no, that is so disappointing. And you know what, I spin back mentally to Tom McEwen and Toledo de Cursa at Badminton when again Toledo was absolutely nailing it. Just took his eye off the ball a minute. I hope Tom's not watching because that was so frustrating. I want to remind the young genius, but a little bit similar. Glenbrook Cooley was just purring. And rather than autopilot, I'm afraid it is elimination. That is hard to see at the Hayrack at 23. Horse and rider are fine after the tumble, but I'm afraid it's a very sharp learning. Well, curve is not really accurate. It's a steep slope, the learning ascendancy, trying to avoid curve or ladder because it's just an uphill slog at times. Good to see horse and rider okay. We're live on course with Mexico's Pedro Gutierrez. We're enjoying the grey. And this man, this is a lovely mare, California male, is on the course. This combination, the dressage was good, 38.6. Was halfway in the pack in the dressage. Had a tough time yesterday in the show jumping, had 2 rails down. This mare, she's superbly bred in the jumping, or for the jumping, I should say, so that is why I'd expect a better round. Competed a few years ago in the Le Lion d'Angers World Young Horse Champs that is running this weekend. And Caroline Martin was in pole position after cross-country for 6-year-olds. I didn't catch that this morning. California male showing a lot of scope. It's a semi-Dan Messiah line, Diamond Semi, one of those beautiful show jump lines that eventers, if they can harness, know they've got a real tool for the final phase or the second phase in the format used here at Terra Nova. Pedro Gutierrez cruises through the final water. This mare's got a lovely, calm disposition. And that is the thing that's interesting about horses and riders for cross-country. You've got to be quick thinking, but calm thinking. It can all happen too quickly. And as we've heard from some of the great exponents, it's a matter of just slowing the mind down in the heat of battle to not make either ill decision or just to realise you're home and safe. And that sadly was the lesson for Samantha Tinney. The moment you just relax and think you are home and dry, you're sullied. Pedro Gutierrez, though, having a beautiful ride. California male turns down to the last fence, and the Terra Nova frame awaits at 25. We're live here. This is Jonathan Holling attacking the IOA Trakehner, the Insurance Office of America, mid part of the course at 13. Jacques Maestral S, good position they lie in. They are third after the show jumping. They jumped one of only the 5 show jump clear rounds. In fact, the top 5, all the clears from the second phase. Jonathan Holling down now to this interesting question. Yeah, 4 strides there, just held the horse a little bit up in front. You could race through there on 3, but I don't think any advantage. I think just a hold for 4, or if you've got a really long striding horse, not that this horse is in any way short striding, you could then just curve a little bit as well. John Holling down to this nice setup, preparatory fence for the next combination, which does need a little bit of respect here. Tracks My Style turns into 17. But this is the combination that needs a little bit of caution and certainly respect here. 18AB up the first little mound. It's an old-fashioned set of rails. This is then that little right-handed turn to the brush. Arrowhead jumps that beautifully. Jonathan Holling now turns back. Combinations coming back to back. 18AB and 19A and B as well. I think, in fact, we had a miscaption earlier, and I apologise for that. That was Carl Slezak, I think, earlier on the course, because this is Pedro Gutierrez's back number 90. So apologies for that oversight. Pedro goes away now to this combination, coming up at 11AB. 4 strides on this little left-handed shallow curve. It's quite a wide table in. And 4 strides comes up very nicely. California male. Well, through that mid-course question. The B&D Builders 3-star is well underway here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are coming to your screens for the first time, delighted to have you with us here in the heart of Florida. We're 20 miles inland of the beautiful beach location of Sarasota. Siesta Key is the white sanded beach, which I haven't had time to get to yet. I'm not sure I will, because I'm off with Buck Davidson to go and play Stream Song. Go and dust off the cobwebs of my golf swing. That is tomorrow. But well, if you can come here in the years to come as a visitor or as a competitor, you'll fly into Tampa International. Bradenton is also local to our base here at Terra Nova. If you're a golfer, as a father or as a husband, there is a huge dearth of golf courses scattered all over this beautiful Pacific Gulf coast as it is. We face the Gulf of Mexico and have some beautiful courses down alongside Sarasota. Now this lady is very talented, she's youthful as well. Kira Kenny comes the last of the preparatory fences. There are 5. It's a beautiful right-handed curve away from the start. Straight line between 1 and 2, and then a huge right-hander. And again, you just start to think about the way horses traditionally have galloped and jumped in steeplechase fields. When you compare the Maryland Cup safety record to eventing, that was a very big article in Chronicle of the Horse a few years ago. I think from Jimmy Wofford explaining that is where horses are at their best, in straight lines, and that is a theme here. Directionality, big right-hander it is from Captain Mark Phillips and Mogi Beard and Muller. Pedro Gutierrez, California male, beautiful. The mare smooth, and she read that question away. Pedro just takes his time to set up for these successive combinations. It's 19AB, open oxer. It's an open corner. Comes up all quite thick and fast to the rider's sit. That is the Ackerman open oxer. One of our superb sponsors here, Ackerman at 20. Pedro Gutierrez just again ambling down to this yawning ditch and palisade. The mare had to be quite brave there. Just stuck to their guns, jumps it nicely. It's quite intimidating, that ditch and brush at 22, but by this stage the horses of course are thinking towards home. And I must say, Pedro giving this lovely mare a superb ride. She's got great ground cover. Yeah, this mare absolutely top class. As Pedro down to the last fence here, the Terra Nova frame awaits a 25. Well, the superb sight of the Olympic champion of 04 in Athens as Leslie Law gets underway. What a superb competition he is having. Leslie leading 2 of our international sections, and this, the lovely Castle Howard Romeo setting off there. Combined score the first 2 phases, 29.8. Leslie was awarded the MBE, the Order of the British Empire, award in the birthday honours. That was in '05 for the Olympic title. The preceding year, after the Court of Arbitration ruled against Bettina Hoy, it went to the wire, but that does not matter. Olympic champion. Leslie Hales down to this first water. It's a positive start. 29.8, he holds a lead of just 0.9 of a penalty. As they now cross this lifeguard hut double, and this pair make it look absolutely elementary. Leslie then, again, sharp enough right-handed down to fence number 9. This 2-meter face, it needs some respect. Carl Romeo now swings little serpentine run away. This is a big oxer awaiting. Leslie Law now opens up Castle Howard Romeo, thinking towards the optimum time. 5:46 is the time to beat. Now beautifully, again, fluid from the Olympic champion. As he'll now swing left-handed into this very meaty Trakehner that lies awaiting. This is 13, it comes off quite a sharp blind turn. When we get there, it's massive. The ditch is ominous, but of course, the horses won't see the ditch. The rider will just keep the head up and not allow the horses, well, instinct to be guided into the bottom of the ditch. That's where rider's head position is crucial. Coming to a big ditch, you've got to look in the sort of mid-horizon. Keep your upper body still. Not that I'm, of course, educating Leslie Law, but just my memories as a rider, what you've got to do at a big Trakehner. My events up to intermediate level. I did the big Belton intermediate at 16 years of age, which was a fairly juicy challenge on a horse that I don't think was quite bound for intermediate. He was called Current Choice. Horse that Daisy Dick rode before, and I know Daisy's mother talked to me afterwards and said, well, you did very well, Ed, to do 3 seasons intermediate. And I was from a non-equestrian family, so I had to learn from the likes of Lucinda Green et al. Graham Law also was one of my teachers back in the day. And Leslie now comes to this influential combination. I think it could be, got to ride this vertical in with respect. Leslie Law just keeping up this lovely rhythm. This is the education factor here. Yes, make a little adjustments, but nothing too obvious in terms of real setups from Leslie. Of course, there's little details you will not even be aware of as an outside observer. That is, of course, one of the great hallmarks, or that was the great hallmark of Mark Todd. Just beautiful little adjustments. Mark in Los Angeles and Seoul 84-88 with Charisma, the double gold medal winning little horse for the great New Zealander. And now Leslie into a really good run of form here. And this is beautiful. The round I was really watching earlier was that for Glenbrook Cooley and Samantha Tinney, which got torched in a couple of fences' time. Leslie Law certainly will not make the same mistake. The finish line is for that purpose, to realise your round is finished right then and there. It's horrible to remind an up-and-coming rider of the mistake, but we saw it at Boekelo. One of the Dutch riders celebrated before the last fence, and he had a fall. It was riding badly in any case. Was taken out of Adrian Ditcham's course, but that was a sad sight. And another stern reminder to riders that the finish line is the finish line. Castle Howard Romeo, again, still looking full of running, as Leslie Law looks like he's quite tight on the time, which is why he just chases down to the penultimate. It's been a beautiful round to watch. Leslie's doing such great work here in the USA with so many athletes. Saw him with Jacob Fletcher yesterday, one of the very talented young riders that Leslie is educating for big things to come. Super round, clear round jumping, and we'll confirm the times for you in a short time, we hope. I'm just on top of that. I'm just struggling to access the precise times on the cross country, but as soon as I have them, as soon as I have the access, they will be certainly fresh on my lips. Well, superb ride through the first water. Sydney Rivera, it is that we welcome. Having a very good first third to the cross-country course here at Terra Nova for this B&D Builders CCI 3-star short format. Sydney Rivera a little bit hampered after dressage, down in 17th position with 40.4, and I'm afraid compounded with 3 down in the show jumping. Sydney starting on 52.4. Oakdale, this lovely chestnut, swings into this combination. Far side of this Terra Nova estate. The development plans here are extensive. It will be Gailey Enterprises who will sell off lots of land. There is 1,000 acres here to be portioned off into lots. Between 5 and 20 acre properties is the statement in the portfolios, and that is wonderful. The range of activities here, once the championship golf course is completed, will be extensive. And B&D Builders exclusive builders and developers here on the Terra Nova estate. Sydney Rivera just carves up the turn. Oakdale fearlessly into the chicane at 13. It's often the way that you just come calmly with your horse and you just let him coast down to a fence that may have given you sleepless nights. Any cautious approach will of course sense the change in signals from the rider, and it's a true communication. Sometimes silent, sometimes not silent, depending on how vocal the rider is feeling. We've seen some of the great riders talking their horses around the cross country. Any means of communication is effective. Oakdale still looking absolutely blisteringly fresh here. Sydney just eats up that big table. That is a narrow table of 16. These two little intermissions of the cut and thrust of the action before then she'll come down to 15A and B. 18A and B. This is the next combination. Oakdale quite lucky in there. In fact, you could say he was brilliantly cat-like to whip his front legs out of that vertical set of rails and avoid a frangible for 11 penalties. This pair are absolutely eating this course for breakfast. It's really good to watch it. Sydney down now towards, it's quite a long gallop to this cabin on mound cabin in the water at 21A and B. Sydney Rivera still foot down, just looking for a little bit of response from Oakdale down to this massive ditch and palisade brush top on the home run. Sees a really good stride in there. Now behind the snappy pond, the alligator was seen there on Thursday. I tried to get my camera out in time. Was also half-minded that he might just leap out and think, I want a bit of Brexit for breakfast. Didn't quite get a full picture, sadly. But this pair, they are the defending champions, and Sarah Kozemplick is away. This is Devil Munchkin, the new starter. Superb to win the inaugural event at Terra Nova here last year. And Sarah, along with Steve Herrig. Natalie and Steve, the parents of Hannah. Hannah is our event president. Steve, a big innovator. He runs a superb insurance company. Between Steve and Sarah, they started, once the training shows were happening here, to imagine what could happen on this superb site. And the evidence is in its second year. Yeah, now Sarah Kozemplick has had a bit of a senior moment. She was gunning down and suddenly, last minute, realised that she was running by the combination of 15A and B. She righted herself well in time, but just a question for the fence judges there. Was she presenting? I don't think so, but again, that is in their hands. Got to determine at what point she looked to be attacking it, but I don't think there was any attempt to present. Just will waste her a few seconds on the time as she'll try and still be within 5:46. This horse is a quick horse. Twin bases for Sarah. Overlook Farm, Berryville, Virginia, and also Madanza Farm here in Florida. In '99, she took her superb off-the-track thoroughbred and former Pony Club horse, As You Like It, to their first Kentucky. Well, that was a horse that took Sarah to the big B's in Great Britain, Burley, Badminton, Bramham, Blenheim. It's a very nice quartet. And now Sarah is starting to amp up the speed here, as if to say, okay, I made a little error, but I'm going to come home inside 5:46. She's on 31.6 to put it into perspective. Lies in 4th position. Coming out onto the cross country. She obviously loves this horse. The trust is absolutely evident as she just keeps on running down to that last water crossing. Cabin on Mound, cabin in the water at 21A and B. Poof, sees a big distance, really chases down to the ditch and brush, got a little whip reminder, hailed the cab in the air, a little bit Andrew Nicholson-esque out over that big ditch and palisade brush. Devil Munchkin, I think, will still be very close to the time, and apologies for the lack of results out on cross country. I am just joining the dots up, trying to get us live scores. Down to the US Equestrian final fence, and a really nice round here. Devil Munchkin, a little game galloper. And Sarah Colson-Plick has had a really good time. We're live on course. Jamie McAllister is out on the track, our back marker after the second phase. The show jumping. Had 3 down out on the course of William Robertson yesterday. And starting on 52.6, 21st of the 21 that came forward to this B&D Builders 3-star short here at Terra Nova. I can tell you, the time is causing a lot of influence. We've had nobody even close to the time of 5:46. The quickest round was for Jonathan Holling and Juxt My Star Less. The score's coming in a little bit late, and apologies for the delay, but that is out of my hands, I'm afraid. 7.6 the time for Jonathan in terms of time penalties, and 38.6 is his score, which has him well out in first position. He leads by, in fact, 19.8 penalties of Elisa Wallace. She is second with sharp decision. Second quickest round at 6 minutes and 13. So about half a minute over the time for Elisa. And Carl Slezak was the same time as her. That was the one we mis-ID'd as Pedro Gutierrez. Apologies for that oversight as well. Carl Slezak is in third position, just 2.4 behind Elisa Wallace in third. And Kira Kenny also came home clear round jumping. These are all clears cross country. 20 time penalties for the lovely FE Black Ice. And fourth place on 62.7. The trailblazer, Ronald Zabala. Ronald came home. Ronald Zabala, Gertsch of Ecuador with Pats Jester. And his time was 22 seconds. Or 22 time penalties, sorry. 6:41 his time, and 69.9 in fifth position for the London Olympian. This is a very important round out on the course. We do not yet have a time for Leslie Law, who led into the cross country. Leslie, we expect, will be ahead of Jonathan Holling. Starts on 29.8 as opposed to Jonathan 31 start score. And John had 7.6 times, so odds on that Leslie Law is our new leader. But now Bethany Hutchins, Kristen in trouble. Gallup HFF up at the difficult combination. Mims able to corner at 11A and B. She had to re-present. Looked to be retiring to my eye. We'll have to give you some further updates on that. I must have had to turn a circle in any case. They are part of the same numbered combination. So staring down the face, I'm afraid, of 20 penalties. The combination that were in second behind Leslie Law after the show jumping. It's a very good round just completed. Jamie McAllister crosses the finish line. We didn't see every fence by far, of course. It's an intense course out there. Several horses out on the track at once, so we can't give you final scores because of that delay in our scoring system. At the moment, we're working hard on it. But it looked to be a clear round, and Army Ranger crosses the line looking fresh and like they could have another trip around the track. It's Jamie McAllister home. They brought a score of 52.6 out onto the cross-country. Well, these are the scenes, everybody. Superb full fixture. We'll go a couple of weeks into the future in November next year, but this is the wonderful overview, and superb to have you with us here for the second running of the event at Terra Nova. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's a little hold on the cross-country. I can't tell you the reason, but I can tell you the current position, and it is Jonathan Holling out in front. John's a good old friend. Caught up with him this morning, and we'll meet next week in Ocala for a little. It's been a long time since we've met, actually. I am more into show jumping these days than eventing. I love eventing, it's what I did. But certainly show jumping is a good daily way of earning your money as a commentator. But great to catch up with old eventer friends, and John Holling leading 38.6. In second place, 56.4 is Lisa Wallace, a sharp decision. Second quickest round jointly with Carl Slezak, the Canadian. Carl, who was also Ferner Wishes, his horse for the Worlds, and his Chevalier tied for the same time with 10.8 time, but in third position, 58.8. And then Kira Kenny, that is with FE Black Ice, in fourth place, 62.7. We're now back in action. I cautiously will identify Sonia Crampton. Yeah, I think it is Sonia Crampton. It's number 99, back number. This is the Canadian combination. 5 for Canada out on B&D Builders 3-star short hit at Terra Nova. Bon Mahon Flash comes down to this last sort of preparatory fence. It's a beautiful start here. Big right-handed curve. They weave from 1 to 5. And then, interestingly, because this is the first change of direction from the course designers here, as if to say to the horse, okay, you've had your big right-handed gallop, now you'll go left-handed to the first combination. And no interruption, beautiful passage. This horse really caught my eye in the 2 phases before. He's powerfully built. He could do pure dressage, such as his ability. His first phase score didn't quite reflect, I think, his potential. 40.7. He had just 1 down in the show jumping, but he's a quality horse. Sonia Crampton, lovely smooth canter. She doesn't press down to this little house, which you can't. It's narrow-faced and needs a little bit of respect, which it gets from Bon Mahon Flash. Sonia Crampton beautifully through the combination. Up at the far reach of the course, that's the Mims table to corner at 11 A and B. Would then be about 250 metres, little left-handed curve down to this fairly substantial white oxer. The bridge oxer at 12. Quite incredible when you walk the courses. Mogi, Bearden, Muller and Mark Phillips here. You'll notice all of the little features, the details, in terms of what could be overlooked as just decoration. You'll have big flank features such as trees, such as pumpkins, both at the side of the fence actually and on top of the fence as well, to act as a visual guideline for the horses. On approach, his eyes of course set on the side of his head, his vision peripheral as an animal searching out on the prairies and the plains for, well, nutrition. And that is where he'll pick up his takeoff points from the sides of the fences. Mark Phillips always innovating, always just testing his known formula and then improving it. That is the brilliance of Mark Phillips. And the new idea for me this year is a little bush as a ground line in the face of a little corner. And that is designed, so imagine a left-handed corner. You have a little bush in the front. The right leg should be okay because of the shape of the corner, but it's the left inside leg on a right-handed corner that little bush in the face is designed to help the horse snap out of the way, not to leave a leg. And that is a beautiful little detail of design that I was not aware of until Thursday morning early when I was jogging around taking notes and trying to listen to the master. Now this man has got a very interesting background because a former race rider and also a bull rider as well, Travis Atkinson. This is Don Darko coming down to the first water. Lifeguard hut is at 8A, the table, and then a little left-handed curve, and Don Darko smoothly through there. This horse certainly can cover the ground. It's lovely to see them with this big rolling gallop. But no, the gallop grinds to a frustrating stop. First refusal we have seen this morning coming out of that arena. It is one you could just take your mind off the boil because you've jumped through the water. You're then on a different surface. You maybe have a slight subconscious trip to show jumping and just maybe don't quite ride as forward as you might. And especially with it being narrow, you just want to be very careful in your approach, and I think that is maybe the explanation for Travis Atkinson. Quite a lot of bright sunshine as well up on that sand surface, or whether there's a bit of a dazzle effect as the sun starting to rise higher in the Floridan sky is another possible explanation. Don Darko, though, is quick to remediate, pops beautifully through the Mims table to corner, double at 11AB. Well, the Canadians delighted. Sonia Crampton has crossed the line. Super looking round for Bon Mahon Flash home. We're just over one half of the way through this B&D Builders 3-star short. But sadly, it is a second refusal. Travis Atkinson has ground to halt again. Don Darko put the brakes on first at 9 and again at the Insurance Office of America's Trakehner at 13. Again here in the shadow, a little bit of the trees, and yeah, it looks like that is the end of the day, I'm afraid, for Travis Atkinson. He'll walk home past the beautiful main arenas where the dressage and show jumping were held over the last 2 days, and back to the barns. Sad for Travis Atkinson. Well, out on the course, Ava Vader, it is number 101, our new starter. This is Bonaire on the early part of the course through the first water. Bonaire tied for 20th after the dressage, 40.7. Had a couple down out on William Robertson's show jumping course yesterday, which was an interesting track, beautifully designed, but certainly was influential. It's quite impressive, the surroundings here, and I think some of the horses not quite used to the level of goings-on around them, and a little bit of distraction. One of my ideas as to why a few rails down more than you might have expected yesterday. The track was very fair, very clear to horse and rider, but it certainly took its fair share of casualty. Bearing in mind, of course, show jumping coming before cross-country. If it had been afterwards, you'd have expected the scores that we saw in this section, with only a quarter jumping clears, 5 out of the 21. Vader, though, going beautifully. Bonaire now coasts down to the Trakehner at 13, just behind one of these live oak trees with their lovely wispy flowers that are dangling. Live oaks sit all around the course, they're beautiful. And they're really nice features that are just weaved into the overall tapestry here out on the cross country. Ava Vader, though, intelligent ride down to this combination. Just shuffles in a little pony short stride in between, or in front of the first element, and then improvises well. And Bonaire rewarded with a nice pat, understandably. Ava Vader delighted with her beautiful, languid galloper. This the pair that won Chattahoochee Hills. That was September of last year. Good win up to the north of our base here. Hugh Lahore's lovely event in Georgia. Carl Bukit's superb place, and Ava Vader now will set up for this interesting little combination. You've got to approach this, I think, straight. You've got to land and then make your right-handed turn. No point at all angling the first element here with the Mims pin, and to risk an 11 penalty. Ava just, I think, recognising the effort this horse has put in. He's been in superb form. I like that, just taking the pressure off him a little bit. Talked to Christian Landolt last night, and he's in favour of actually abandoning watches on cross-country, which I thought was a fascinating idea, as if to say to riders, look, you've got to be your own judge of time. And that would also act to stop riders looking at watches and chasing times, which of course then is flying in the face of safety. I thought it was a brilliant proposal. Private proposal, of course, but I think it's worth airing. Now delighted to welcome second ride Carl Slezak is on the course. This is Hot Bobo. This is a stunning little 9-year-old bay mare for Carl. Travels down to the Oxer at 10. Carl Slezak makes a cautious preparation in advance of the big table to corner. Hot Bobo beautifully through there. As I said earlier, for her wishes, sadly, well, I didn't tell you the end of the story. The Protoni Worlds was his debut at the World Championship. Sadly, was eliminated there with his top horse. Ferner Wishes had taken him to the Pan Ams in Lima 2019 for the team bronze for Canada and 12th place individually. Ava Wader has come across the line, absolutely delighted. Bonaire, we're right by the finish line, and it's great to see the reaction. Ava Wader comes across the line, and certainly, assuming that was a clear jumping round, I would imagine, because of the break she put on, having seen the big efforts Bonaire have made at mid-course, just brought the horse home with respect, and I would imagine has got a good handful of time. Hot Bobo makes a little curve. I would have curved the other way, but Carl Slezak takes a little jink in between the corner to the brush shoulder. Very nicely through. Now I can give you some updated news here because Jamie McAllister came across the line with Army Ranger, but I'm afraid was technically eliminated out on the course. No further details, but I'm assuming missed the fence out on the track. That's the most likely explanation. And the other scores to update you with. Dana Cook completing. Harlequin was clear jumping. 7:01 was the time, so about a minute and a quarter out of the 5:43 second optimum. 5:46 second optimum, forgive me. Dana Cook having 30 time penalties and 75.6 is our back marker of those completed scores. The other score to give you for Pedro Gutierrez, the lovely mare. She was about a minute out of the time, 6:48. California Male adding 24.8 time penalties to complete in 9th position on 71.4. The good round for Sydney Rovera, that was impressive with Oakdale. And that, the first inside the time, and she hit the optimum time, square on the head, 5:46 her time. And that is 52.4 for Sydney, puts her in 4th position as we stand here at Terra Nova. And the other round to tell you, that was absolutely brilliant for both Sarah Kozenblick, Devil Munchkin and Leslie Law. Leslie was just 1 second over time for 0.4 of a penalty. And Castle Howard Romeo on 30.2. That score can now not be beaten. Leslie will lead. In fact, yes, he'll win the competition. The old mind just waking up to the Florida morning here. Apologies, I only landed a few days ago and there's still a little bit of jet lag, I'm sure, in the old grey cells. 30.2 winning the class here. The B&D Builders Champion, the inaugural B&D prize winner this year is Leslie Law, first of the day to strike victory. 30.2 the winning total. The defending champions, Sarah Kozenblick and Devil Munchkin, defeated. They had 0.8 for time penalty. Superb round for 2 seconds out of the time, 32.4. And third place as we stand, Jonathan Holling and Juxt My Style S on 38.6. Hayley Curry just off the little left-hander down to 13, the big Trakehner. The IOA, the Insurance Office of America. Ditch and hanging rail, old-fashioned cross-country type of offence, and it's where the alligator was spotted last year. I haven't seen Dad or Mum, I've seen the baby, and that was already enough to send myself, Ed Holloway, on a quick sideways trajectory. Hayley Curry, Belmont Dokachim, well through that combination. 15 AB, the brush corner to shoulder brush on the little angled line. Now this is the little point where they pass behind the line of trees and then come to this quite skinny table. You can't quite see it in your picture, but I'd say that is only maybe 3 meters wide at max. Maybe Curry rides a very good turn. Belmondo Cahim comes to 17. Of course, you've got to set your horse up, give him time to sight the fences. You don't want to go too wide, particularly when the time is tight as it is today, but we've seen that with Andrew Nicholson. Once the riders get very, very accomplished, if you can ever become like Andrew Nicholson, that is then an art of knowing exactly when to cut in to present to a fence. What is a sort of safe line to approach? And sadly, Hayley Curry fires into a distance that wasn't quite there. She just comes off the top of the horse, but no real problem. But that's a shame because they were going beautifully, and it's going to be elimination up at the Open Ox Open corner double at 19AB. Horse and rider, they are fine, but that is frustrating. Alina Patterson, it is we pick up out on the cross country. Flashback, well poised here. They lay in 6th position after the show jumping. They had 1 fence down only, which was respectable, certainly. It was only, in fact, 4-4-4 rounds. No, 5-4-4 rounds on the show jumping, with the 5 clears as well, so it was not easy by any stretch of the imagination. And Alina Patterson is burning rubber as she now charges down to this big bridge odds at 12. Flashback is really flying out on the course. This is the pair that won last year, both Galway Downs in March. Between LA and San Diego, Robert Kellerhouse's wonderful Galway. I'll head there in a couple of weeks' time. It's been a regular mainstay of mine since 2012 was my first visit. It's a wonderful competition. Clayton Fredericks, the course designer, will be heading from Australia back to Galway to set up the courses. Final details from Clay. Alina Patterson comes down to this double, 2 mounds here. Beautiful coverage we're enjoying here. Superb live camera work. As Alina now just sets up these back-to-back combinations. Flashback is agile, got into quite a deep spot into the Oxer. And that is why, of course, then the distance was quite compact into the base of the corner. Just check back to check that the MIM system that has been widely applied out of the course, which is, of course, crucial. Flashback still pulling Alina Patterson's shoulder joint as she just tries to anchor him down towards this final water. They've had quite a checkered season actually internationally. Just 1 international completion. Having had 4 starts, they completed Stable View last time for 27th position. So it's been an unusual year for this pair after their great season last year. This horse is bred in Germany. He's a Brandenburg-Anhalt of bloodlines. The Hoffman family bred him. First Fugger across to Quarterback. Quarterback is a horse that is very popular in world dressage as well, hence his flashy moves in the first phase to give him 31.8, 5th position after the first phase. Just a quick view of Cutty Sark as we cut back to the finisher, and Alina Patterson has had a really good round out on cross country. She glides home. This horse still full of running. He's quite an operator. Live with Samantha Tinney. This is the Dutch bred Cutty Sark, who cuts down now to this, what has been slightly influential turnover barn at 9. Caught out sadly, Travis Atkinson. First blemish was there for Don Darko. About 30 minutes, 25 minutes ago. Cutty Sark. Samantha Tinney. This lovely Dutch chestnut, he is such an eye-catcher. They lie at the moment. 11th position. One fence down yesterday, 1.2 time. 45.4 is Samantha Tinney's start score. Dutch horse is given such a wonderful, real role model. All-Star B, we sadly lost for Ros Cantor not long ago. All-Star B had to be put down, and the world title here in America in Tryon in 2018, now 4 years ago, was All-Star B's. And, well, if you can get the gallop, that of course is the question with the Dutch or the foreign horses. They've got the movement, they've got the quality for the show jumping, undoubtedly. Cutty Sark, I think, has got all of the credentials essentially to go to the very top end of the sport. Of course, they've got to be jacks of all trades, but they've got to have cross-country ability. They've got to have the sheer willpower to take on these fixed fences. Cutty Sark down through 15A and B beautifully. I tell you, if Samantha Tinney wants to lend a road commentator a horse for a little spin, I would be willing. This guy was produced by Sinead Halpin, as she was before marrying Tick to become Sinead Maynard. Sinead started this lovely gelding in 2017 at Ocala in Florida. That was her first outing. And Samantha, her second season with Cutty Sark. They were second last year at Chattahoochee Hills in the two-star short up in Georgia in early September. Last outing was Stable View. They completed the three-star short there. This is their fourth three-star short as a combination. And this horse, he's just flowing on beautifully. Cutty Sark, little right-handed curve, beautiful, again, line that Samantha Tinney carves up at the top end of the course. And of course, it was so frustrating. Glenbrook Cooley for this lady fell just at the back end of the course on the far side of the Alligator Pond, and that was a devastating late problem for Samantha. The horse is going brilliantly, was my round of the day, and then just took her eye off the ball momentarily. She will not make the same mistake again, I can promise you. Cutty Sark comes now down to this yawning ditch palisade brush. He was bred by Linda Ackerman, this guy in Canada. Pops that over there beautifully. Now, don't think too long here. Sam, just ride the corner, find your takeoff spot and get home and dry. The new starter is on course, ladies and gentlemen, and this is our anchor of the B&D Builders three-star short here for the event at Terra Nova for 2022. Crosby's Gold is on course for Madeline Scott. The last word is for Canada. Crosby's Gold in 10th position, so midway down the field. Jumped a good round in the show jumping yesterday. 4 jumping and 0.4 of a time penalty. And Samantha Tinney, yeah, clasps the air as if to say that was the one I wanted earlier. She gets it finally. And delighted for her. She's got 2 brilliant horses, I think, in the making with this lovely one and the grey that was so unfortunate earlier at Glenbrook Cooley. Madeline Scott picks up the line beautifully. Lovely right-handed curve was super smooth. That is crucial. Into a narrow-faced corner. Any little late adjustments and you could be staring at 20 penalties for a last-minute run-by, fly-by shooting. Madeline Scott, though, going beautifully as she now comes down to this. It should be just a speed bump on the way home. The ditch and brush at 22 will be the next for her. Oh, absolutely balloons the jetty in the middle of the water at 21B. Just ducks below the trees, branches, and then hails a cab out on the left side over the ditch and palisade. Crosby's goal comes right-handed, circling back to this, what was influential fence, this yellow table, for the lady who just completed with her second ride. Madeline Scott comes down to the penultimate as we are about to wrap up the B&D Builders 3-star short tip at Terra Nova. Well, last out of the cross country has come home, and super completion 21 are through the cross country. We'll give you the confirmed leaderboard to the best of our knowledge in just a few moments, but we'd like to say a big thank you to our sponsors, our equine sponsors, BEMA, their electromagnetic energy, known as the oldest form of healing. They have a tent tip at Terra Nova. Of course, if you're watching worldwide, I think of no particular use to you, of course, but BEMA's products come strongly recommended. Doug Payne's certainly one that uses both the horse and rider, horse and human functions of the electromagnetic power of BEMA to great effect. Talked to Marilyn during the dressage, and something that Doug really finds a huge benefit. Thank you to BEMA. Also, we'd like to thank Bimeda. Bimeda may be the largest animal health company you've never heard of till now. Bimeda's products have been trusted by veterinarians and owners since the 1960s, where their Irish roots began. Polyglycan was the initial product, and then Confidence EQ has got a pheromone gel action to prevent and reduce equine stress. And their other super products include Equimax, Bimectin, and also Exodus. Thank you very much to Bimeda for their support of Terra Nova for this year. And you can visit their website, that is Bimeda, BIMEDAUS.com, to see where you can buy their products. It's a huge team, of course, that must be all operating at absolute full mast to run this competition. The scale of it is massive, and of course this year as well we've added the CDI dressage to the Terra Nova portfolio. So well done to the entire team here. The first class across the country has completed. To the best of my knowledge, I will give you the position. We do have some scores still to come through to finalise our leaderboard, but what I can tell you is that Leslie Law's score will not be bettered. He wins the B&D Builders 3-star short tip. The second event at Terra Nova falls to the 04 Olympic champion. Castle Howard Romeo wins on 30.2. 32.4 is the score that may be bettered, depends on Carl Slezak's time with Hot Bobo. Carl was on 31.9. Sarah Kazumplik second with Devil Munchkin. The defending champion's looking good for second or third at worst. Jonathan Holling, he is in third place as we stand on 38.6. with either Carl or Alina Patterson that could go ahead of him as we stand. Then comes Sydney Rivera with Oakdale. She's in fourth position, 52.4, and Elisa Wallace and Sharp Decision fifth as we stand on 50.4. But as I say, we still await for the scores of Carl Slezak, Alina Patterson, Sonia Crampton, the Canadian, Madeline Scott, who was the last to complete, and Samantha Tinney went so well with Cutty Sark, expecting quite a quick time from them, and Ava Wader and Bonaire are the other ones. So ladies and gentlemen, it's a short break from commentary. We will be back with the competition. It will be Sarah Kazumplik who will lead off the 4-star short, starting at 12:05. It's a short break of just over 18 minutes from myself at Holloway. It's a pleasure bringing you the event at Terra Nova. Have a short break yourselves, refresh, because that is the big class of the day. We'll see you soon. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the confirmed position after cross country has completed the B&D Builders 3-star short tip. The second event here at Terra Nova. Leslie Law, the former Olympic champion, he wins the second 3-star to be run here in Florida. Castle Howard Romeo winning on 30.2. The winning margin is 1.7. Penalties clear of Carl Slezak. The Canadian is second with Hot Bobo. Second place for Carl, 31.9 for the 9-year-old mare. She's impressed again. And the defending champions, they hang on to the podium place of third. Devil Munchkin stormed around 32.4, was inside the time. And Sarah will be third out on the course of Mogi Beard and Muller today. Jonathan Holling went well earlier, and Jux My Style S is 4:38.6. Then comes Alina Patterson, and a great round coming late was Flashback. 3.2 time for 39 penalties. And Madeline Scott was the last out on cross country, and a very good 6th position for Crosby's Gold on a round score of 46. Ava Vader is 7th, 49.1. Super round again for Bonaire. A round that really caught my eye. She's still a young rider. Sydney Rivera is 8th. That is Oakdale. Score for Sydney, 52.4. Then came Elisa Wallace. Sharp Decision started early. Came home in 6:13 with 10.8 time on the cross country. Now just bear in mind there was only 2 inside the time. Sydney Rivera was inside with Oakdale, as was Super Round bang on from Hot Bobo and Carl Slezak. They are the 2 inside the time. Elisa Wallace is a 9th with 56.4 with Sharp Decision, and 10th place, well done to Canada's Sonia Crampton and Bon Mahon Flash on 56.7. Top 10 here in the B&D Builders 3-star shorts. And a short break from myself, Ed Holloway. Hope you are enjoying the coverage. Apologies for a few little breaks in either scoring or our presentation. We are going to be quickly getting it in perfect order for the 4-star shorts, which will be starting local time 12:05. It is a short break, and we'll be with you with the course preview in just a couple of minutes.